Everyone. Yeah, okay, thanks. Woo, yeah. Welcome to Moth of November, and can I get a big round of applause to Foam for hosting us again? They're amazing. So, as Amanda was telling me earlier, we know that you have a choice when you decide to come here, and we know that right now 30 Rock is on, so we would really Don't worry, Amanda has it TiVo'd. Just contact her. Yeah, you can just, you're welcome over anytime.
I'm not after her.
And with that being said, hopefully you realize you're at a Moth Up event, and if you've never been before, Moth Up events feature true stories told live without notes. And there's always a theme. Tonight's theme is Oh Baby. Screams of delight, disgust, and despair. Oh baby, whoa baby, no baby. And we have some fantastic storytellers lined up for this evening. I'm really excited. I think we're going to take a short intermission, little musical break in between, like around to midway point. But please don't leave, because that wouldn't be cool. And that's, yeah, are we good? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Amanda now for the rest of the evening. She's awesome. Give her a round of applause.
Tonight, usually the first thing I do is introduce our guest judges, and the purpose of the guest judge is to take all this awesomeness and say which one is the most awesome. And that video will be uploaded to our Vimeo site, which is then goes into consideration for the Moth for their their podcast, and so it's kind of exciting to get picked to do that. No pressure, none whatsoever. We have one guest judge tonight, and that's Jonathan Pollock. You may recognize Jonathan Pollock from being at our Moth Up events. He and his wife have been to all of our Moth Up events here at Foam, so we call them our Never One fans. They even came to the one. Yeah, they even came to the one in Old North St. Louis. It was hardcore, but yeah. So we thank him for being here. I was told by his wife that he has an amazing skill that needs to be shared. It needs to get out there, and that's his animal sounds. So I begged him to make at least just one. And I want one. Thank you. And he also takes really pretty pictures. So if you have something going on where you need pretty pictures, he takes pretty pictures. So top 10. Another thing we're going to do, we've done in the past, is we usually have three guest judges. So we want to take two judges from the audience tonight. So on the count of three, raise your hand. First two up get to be guest judges tonight. 1, 2, 3. This guy, and you hesitated.
I was too soon. Yeah, you paused, man. Yeah.
I think you need to. Yeah, you hesitated. Okay, yeah. So our first guest, our audience judge will be Alan and Tom. So the rules are just listen to all the stories. Or not, or whatever. Pick the one that you like the best. It sticks to the theme the best, or it reinterprets it the best, just whatever you think. And yeah, so let's get started with our first story of the night.
Hello, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
I've been telling stories for 14 seconds. So Wednesday, July 19th, 2006. I know it was a Wednesday, not because it was the day before my daughter was born, but it was the night that my wife and I went out to Chevy's. Well, it also was the day before my daughter was born, but we went out to Chevy's, and there was a huge, huge thunderstorm, gigantic, wiped out all the lights in the city. And my wife was 9 months pregnant at the time. And we didn't get dinner at Chevy's. We went home because they lost power. We went home, we had peanut butter sandwiches. And we went to bed, and it was excruciatingly hot. It was ridiculously hot. And my wife is sweating buckets. And I'm laying there, I fall right asleep, and she's just up all night sweating buckets, and she's really pregnant. So the next day we wake up, And there's no power still. We go to work, but she works out of the house, so she has to find a place to work. So she finds out that the bread company in the Loop is still open, which it's kind of comforting, I guess, because if like there's a nuclear holocaust and half the city gets wiped out, I need my pumpkin muffy. Like, thank God the bread company is open. Anyway, so she's working at the bread company. She's on her laptop. She shows up, and everyone in U City is now at the bread company because it's the only place in the Loop that has power. Right? It's the only place in U City that has power. And they got the extension cords, daisy chain. Everyone's got their laptops out. They're ready to bring down the backup generator, And she sends me an email around noon. She's like, the lunch crowd just showed up. It's ridiculously busy. I'm getting really hot, even though the air conditioning's on. She's like, and I think I got food poisoning last night. I'm like, oh. I'm like, you're pregnant, right? And she's like, yeah, but I feel really, really sick. I'm like, okay, well, find somewhere else to work. So she finds out that her friend Cynthia, who lives in Clayton, has power because Clayton has power. UCity, there's that sign, between U-City and Clayton, and everything on this side of the sign is U-City, no power. And everything on this side of the sign, Clayton, they have power. So she goes to her friend Cynthia's house, and she's working on the computer, and she sends me another email. And she says, this is around like 2 o'clock. She's like, you got to come home now. I say, why? Are you really, really sick? She's like, I think I'm in labor. I'm like, okay, have you called the nurse? She says, yeah. I called the nurse. And the nurse asked me, are you having contractions? And she said, I don't know, I've never had a baby. I don't know. And the nurse said, well, does it feel like contractions? I don't know what contractions feel like. So I go home and I head over, get the bag, and everyone's got the bag. So I get the bag, and I go over to Cynthia's house, and she's over there, and she's in so much pain. I can't even tell you. She's in this ridiculous amount of pain. She's like, I just feel my stomach is killing me. I'm like, are you sure you're not having the baby right now? She's like, I don't know. And she called in, she go through the whole nurse thing again. And I'm like, well, let's go to the hospital. Okay, let's call the nurse. We call the nurse. The nurse is like, do they feel like contracting? I don't know. So she's in this excruciating pain. I'm saying go to the hospital. She doesn't want to go yet. Now here's why she doesn't want to go. And this is important. So you get that like 48 hours. You get 2 nights in the hospital, okay? So she's like, if we go at nighttime, that's my first night. And then I gotta be gone the second night. But if we can wait till like after midnight, like 1 in the morning, then I get that whole day plus the night, then a whole other day. I'm like, you really want to wait? You really want to like plan it out and wait? So she calls the nurse again. The nurse said, don't come. I'm like, we're going. Fine, we're going. So we get the bag. We get in the car. And we're driving. And she's screaming. She's like, I need to push. Don't push. Whatever you do, don't push. Breathe. We're doing the whole thing. The breathing thing. And so we're driving. We're getting on the highway. We're getting on Highway 40. And a police car pulls in front of us. And so I've got my 9-month pregnant wife sitting next to me, about to have the baby in the front seat. Like literally it's gonna drop right there in the front seat. And the police car pulls in front. And the only thing I can think is, this could be my only chance to get a police escort. like that's what went through my head. This could be it. My one chance. It's not like, what are we going to do when we get to the hospital? Okay, I'm going to get a police escort. But I don't do it. She's like, just go to the hospital! So we drive to the hospital, we park the car, and by the way, the parking is not very convenient to the front door, which I find really strange. Because, she's having a baby. So you want to get in there quick. So we go up a whole bunch of stairs, take the elevator, walk across the lobby, take another elevator up, go up to the maternity floor. We get there and there's a nurse. No one in there, it's just the nurse. She's at the station. And I'm like, my wife's going to have the baby. She said, here, fill this out. Like, I pre-registered, okay? Fill this out. But I pre-registered. You still need to fill this out. Like, all right, fine. So I'm looking at it, and it's the exact same stuff I filled out online. Exactly. And my wife goes, I really want to push. And the nurse, I am not joking about this, the nurse goes, And it's like in slow motion, like the movie. She goes, no! Right? And she grabs the wheelchair, and she shoves my wife, it's all in slow, she shoves the wife in the wheelchair, and then she just starts booking down the hall. And I'm there, and I'm right in the middle. So she's taken off down the hall. So they go to the triage room. So there's 3 rooms. There's like the triage room, and we took the tour, before we had the baby. Took the tour. So there's the triage room, and then there's like the really fancy like waiting room, like when you're in labor and you're in there, and it's like TV, and it's like gorgeous. And then there's the room that you go to after you have the baby. It's got everything they need, and it's comfortable, but it's not as nice as that middle waiting room. I'm like, I want to get into this middle waiting room because that's where all the good stuff is, So we get to the triage room, and the nurse is in there. She's like, all right, well, let's see what's going on. So my wife gets up on the bench. The nurse looks around, and she's like, okay, so did you want to have an epidural? And my wife's like, well, I think I'd like to see how it goes, to see if I need. She's like, nah, you don't understand. There's no time for an epidural. You're having the baby right now. I'm like, we just got here. She's like, yeah, you're having it right now. And so within like 10 seconds, there's nurses and like doctors in the room. They're bringing machines in, equipment. What's going on? So they go to call my wife's doctor. He's on vacation. So then there's his partner. She's on vacation. Like, how did they schedule vacation at the same time? I don't understand that part. So they call the doctor who's on call. And we got to the hospital at 4:30. And at 5:38, Grace Mia was born. It was very fast. Yeah, it was really fast. And she comes out, and the nurse looks, says, congratulations, it's a girl, because we didn't find out. I know it's crazy, we didn't find out. And it's a girl. And she says, she looks at me, like, kind of confused, She looks at my wife. She gets, like, this perplexed look. She looks at Grace. She's like, so who in the family has red hair? It's a whole other story, though. So.